Hello, everybody, and welcome to another stream. This is another story stream regarding in the tales of the in the world of darkness. Tonight, we are going to talk about a special type of person or thing. He has been around for 60 years. However, he doesn't look like he's a day over 27. He was turned. I believe it was at the age of 27. Hang on a second. I gotta. Oop. Oop. All right. So he was turned at the age of 27. He is now 60 years old. He has spent, well, about 33 years roaming as a vampire. Sired by someone he thought he loved. He was seduced by her looks, her affection. She gave him anything she wanted, and then when he came so very quietly into the night, he was turned. Only very few years later, he was released from her as he became a secret agent of the top highest ranking vampires in the world. In this world, there is a group called the Camarilla, ran by a council of vampires, the heads of each and every clan. They are known as princes or princesses, depending on what they like to go with. But their high-ranking status gives them the ability to run and rule over every vampire clan. This is a story of a vampire named Ric. He was top secret agent, known as the Eraser, the Cleaner, Nobody, Incognito, the vampire that makes everyone disappear and everything he wants. He rose to the ranks of sheriff after he was released. He worked for a few years cleaning up after other vampire lords, vampire heads, basically, depending on which terminology you want to go with. And then he rose to the status of sheriff, given his own place to live, and potentially a human or two that is willing to give themselves to him every night so he can feed. Ric was spending his night at home in his nice condo. He just got done feeding. He arrived home when he discovered that there was what he calls a stench in the air. He looks behind himself and notices a man just sitting on his sofa, propping his feet up, making himself at home. Morgan, you sleazy bastard, what brings you to my neck of the woods? Well, Ric, to be honest, probably because the fact you don't do your job very well. The Camarilla and the highest of the vampires are very upset with you and how you're deciding to run this domain that we've given you. Really, I have not seen any issues around here. So I don't know what you are talking about, but you can take your fucking ass out that door if you're going to sit here and make allegations. Morgan plops down a newspaper. He says, "Why don't you read that? Or did you forget how to read, Ric?" Ric takes a minute and reads about the attack on Precinct 13. On how a potential beast or scary monster broke in and eliminated a police officer, a secretary, a civilian, and one person in holding, but yet was subdued and finally killed by a police officer known as James Pierce. James Pierce describes him as, this was a monster that was sucking your blood, looked ugly and vicious as ever, to make your hair stand up on the back of your head. It also says on the news that he was admitted into the insane asylum. Rick puts it on the newspaper and says, okay, so Precinct 13 was in my territory. I don't know what this is about. Morgan puts his hands on the desk in front of Rick, on the table he's sitting at. He says, exactly my point. You are supposed to make sure that there's nothing going on around here, and would you explain to me why this happened and you didn't bother to do anything about it? What are you talking about? Well, you need to finish the article, Rick. Don't leave a chapter half empty. Oh, now let me turn the page. He turns the page and says, the remains of some slime and goo and a potential skeleton was recovered that is said to be the monster itself. Rick slumped back into his chair. Shit. Shit is right, Rick. When messes like this happen, you're supposed to clean them up. Instead, the police have it. The morgue has it. Every scientific person has it. And soon, our exposure to the humans will be common knowledge. Remember why you were given the sheriff's position in this domain. Rick immediately throws his cup right at Morgan, but misses him. Morgan barely flinches and says, given? Don't ever ensue that I was entitled to anything. I worked for this domain, Morgan. I worked for this. And the Camarilla awarded me my correct status. So I'm sorry that I wasn't on top of this one time. But I think I can fix it tonight. Morgan sat up and said, well, you damn well better. The night is still young, that's why I'm seeing you. We have an address for you. There's 5 witnesses. 3 doctors. 1 a mortician. 2 scientific specialists. All got PhDs and definitely been analyzing this. They need to be eliminated. 2 security guards on top of it as well. You can eliminate them by any means possible. Make it look like an accident. Feed on them. Whatever. Just as long as you make the bodies disappear. Now do my job, Morgan. Now do me a favor and get the fuck out. With pleasure. Have a good night, Rick, because I know it's going to be a busy one for you. After the sly remark, the door opens and then slams right behind him. Rick, unable to control his anger, tipped over his nice glass table and smashed it. He was pissed. Nosferatu. I know it's them. What are they doing in my domain? Guess I'm going to figure that out tonight. Rick goes and puts on a black shirt, black pants, his black socks, black shoes, and gets on a nice black jacket. He begins getting into his vehicle and taking off to the location of the address. Once there, he parked the car at a distance and walked the rest of the way. It looks like he took a minute to scan the area, and to him it looks like you need a key card to get in. He's going to have to find a way to swipe one. It may take some time. But then he thought of another way. Well, could fake the key card by fooling the sensor. He's like, alright, I think I got this. Once he gets up to the door, he begins fiddling with it, trying to find a way to break into the security system. Rick is very smart and actually has studied many computer systems. Went to school for computers 30 years ago. he's decided in his long life that he's had 33 years to keep up with the repairs, or with the, not the repairs, excuse me, to keep up with the times on technology. He manages to get into the card reader and wires it. But it wasn't enough. He's like, okay, I have to find another way in. Glass, thick sealed doors. Alright, I think I can figure this one out. He looks in the inside and sees 2 security guards. They're already at their post. Press pass. So he knocks on the door. Says, hey, can you guys let me in? I'm with the press. One of the security guards, kind of believing him, comes in and opens the door and says, can I help you? Yeah, I'm with the press. I'm here to do a report regarding the remains of the slime and goo. Security guard thought for a moment, says, I think we already talked. I think someone from the press was already here. Yeah, I forgot my badge on the inside. I was here earlier today. You may not remember me. He's like, well, honestly, I was with third shift, so you can come on in, but I need you to come up here and sign in and maybe describe the press pass for me so that way I can grab it for you. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Not a problem. I'm terribly sorry that you forgot it, but come right over here. The security guard looks at the other security guard and goes, he forgot his press pass. It's like, oh, so he was here earlier doing that story, writing all that stuff. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I just kind of forgot. It's like, yeah, kind of, just kind of like one of those, absent-minded, stupid things. Hey, sure, you guys can't let me back there. I just want to take one more look at that slime. It's like, no, can't let anyone back there. We have 2 major specialists, all professors and doctors, and the mortician back there right now examining this. And unfortunately, we are told to please, nobody back there, to not let anyone back there. He's like, okay, I understand, I get it. The security guards turned to each other and started talking and going, like, was there a press pass? I haven't seen one all day. It's like, I don't know. I just figured it's a morgue and, we can help this guy out. Oh, definitely. Let's make sure we get a good look at this guy and see where his press pass could be. Absolutely. The security guards turn back to where Rick was and notice that he is missing. They didn't notice him slipping behind them. Did you hear him move? No, I did not. Okay. Seal the building. Let's go through. All right. Attention everyone. We are currently in lockdown. Please stay in your offices and seal the doors. Do not let anyone in. Said over the announcement of the PA, one of the security guards. They pulled out their guns and they're beginning to go through from room to room. Little did they know that there was a small crawl space up in the ceiling that Rick managed to slip into quietly. He watches and hunts as he sees the security guards, but they have no way of noticing him. They didn't even see which way he went. They don't hear him. His footsteps moves quietly as if not even there. Rick notices that he has almost no chance against the guns unless he can somehow disarm the officers. His skills in fighting are not really the greatest, but as long as he has something, he can use anything. He manages to find some loose wire. He yanks on it, doesn't go to anything. Looks like to an Ethernet cable. Humans, they don't clean up after themselves, what can I say? Can't believe I was human 33 years ago. Rick manages to slither down right behind one of the security guards and comes up right behind him. He puts the cord right around him, and as he does, he gets flipped right over the security guard and back. And the security guard looks and says, "Okay, hold it right there." It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, right. Who are you? I'm nobody. Just really needing to go after that evidence. So, I'm sorry. For what? For this. And Rick begins to attack him just before he could squeeze off a few bullets. The security guard managed to squeeze off a couple rounds. Fires once or twice, but managed to miss Rick. Rick couldn't easily subdue him. This guy is a lot stronger than he looks. Oh, man. Okay, alright. He begins looking around for anything he can use. He slips into an office and finds a pen. What am I, freaking assassin? A pen? Really? This is the best I get? Guess maybe I need to get into the morgue a little bit more and maybe get a knife. He sits quietly into the dark. Tries to blend in with the darkness so that way nobody can see him. He sits ever so quietly. The security officer comes in and he says, he hears over the radio, "I heard some shots. Yeah, I got the assailant. I don't know, but he's crazy. He's been attacking me." "Alright, I'm on my way. Just stay where you are." He begins looking through the office. And ever so slightly, just scanning. But he misses Rick as Rick blends into the shadows. As a vampire, he's learned to stay absolutely still and unnoticed. The security guard turns and didn't even see Rick coming. All he saw was a ballpoint pen being stabbed into his left eye. He falls into shock, convulses, and falls to the ground. Rick picks up the firearm. He says, "Not my style, but in case I may need it." Puts it in his back pocket and begins waiting very still as the other security officer comes in. He comes in and says, "We got someone down. Everyone needs to stay in their office. We got to call 911 immediately." He begins picking up the phone and dialing. Rick comes up from behind him. He does not notice as his footsteps are ever so quietly. He wasn't ready for what was about to happen next. Rick still had the cord in his hands. He puts it around the security guard's neck and pulls it ever so tight. He pulls it too tight. The the security guard is completely helpless and cannot do anything as he strangles him and lays him down ever so quietly. He begins moving out throughout the morgue. He found where this so-called slime and skeletal evidence is. And inside, he quietly notices 3 men around a bag. The door appears to be locked. He begins to try and get in. Unfortunately, the lock is a little bit more tougher than he would imagine. So he tries another approach. Says, hey, it's safe to come out. We got the assailant. The police are here. Can you guys unlock this door? The doctors believe him, and they unlock the door. And they open it. It's like, are you a detective? Yes, I am. Really? Yes. Huh. Well, then you won't mind showing your badge. He quickly flashes the badge and quickly puts it away, and they're like, okay, well, we didn't get a good look at it, but we believe you. Like, yep, so you guys are safe. Is there anything you guys need? We're getting ready to evacuate the building. We just need to put this up. They're like, yep, exactly. We're going to have to put it up. We got to make sure that no one from the public sees this, because we don't know, or nor have we determined what it is, but it might be something that one officer might have been on to something about it. Who, that James Pierce guy? Yep, it's unusual, you know. Some type of I don't know. We don't want to say supernatural, but this is definitely a wild discovery. And you guys just said no one in this room knows anything about it. Yes, that's correct. Good to know. Without a second thought, Rick sees a scalpel, a knife, very easily sliced into the skin and bone of a human, right there. He quickly grabs it and stabs one of the scientists in the jugular. The scientist grasps as he releases, and he tries to hold the blood in as it squirts everywhere, and he falls to the ground. They both look at him in terror. In terror. He's like, they're like, why? I thought you were a detective. And it's like, yeah, you guys really need to know what a fake security badge looks like. And he keeps it on him. He's like, unfortunately, I can't leave any evidence. So this is, yeah, I'm sorry. That's all I can say. I'll make it quick. He stabs the other scientist right in the eye and plucks out his eyeball, but he did more than that. He's cut too deep, and there is blood everywhere. He falls convulsing. The mortician, the final doctor, tries to run. However, Rick was just a little bit faster as he shuts the door. The mortician looks at him in terror. As his fangs are bared, he begins to have this inhuman look in him. I will say this was a little bit easier than I thought it would be. And I am terribly sorry. He throws the knife, hoping it would hit a vital spot, and hit true and hard. The knife hits right into the center of the Adam's apple of the mortician. He then collapses to the floor, shaking, but Rick catches him and leads him down. Puts his arm beside him, and he yanks out and hangs onto the hand of the human as he dies. Rick looks at him as his blood drains and says, I am very terribly sorry. I wish there was some way to not waste this glorious evening. There is no shame in this death, but I definitely would like to have given you a better one. The eyes roll in the back of the mortician's head, lifeless. Rick closes them. He goes over to the bag and notices that it's just nothing more than a tub of goo. He zips up the bag, throws it over him, and he leaves. Once he makes it back to the vehicle, he gets in and he's like, well, my night is not done. One more thing I gotta handle. He drives to Precinct 13. There is only 3 officers on duty on this night. One of them is the captain. I almost hate to do this, but unfortunately that needs to happen. He gets out of the vehicle, he walks into the police station. Hello, how can I help you today? Hey, officer, how's it going? Oh, it's quiet night, unlike the other time. I thought this was still an active crime scene. What's it doing back operational so soon? Well, the assailant has been captured. He is going into an insane asylum. Says that a vampire-like monster killed everybody. We think that he somehow managed to get a Halloween skeleton and basically made up the whole story. Basically. Yeah, basically. Well, glad to hear that, I think. Is your captain in? Yeah, he's in his office doing some paperwork. Do you guys have anyone in the holding cells? No, not tonight. Tonight, like I said, is a quiet night. Quiet night, huh? Yep, very quiet. Like, so quiet. You don't think anything could happen. Pretty much. Okay. Well, that is good to know. No one else is here. Just 3. How many of you? Like, just 3? Yep, me and Officer James over there. Jamison. And then we got, our Captain Johnson in the back. Jamison and Johnson. And who are you? Oh, it's like, oh, mine? Oh, I'm Torres. Officer Torres. So Torres, Jamison, and Johnson. Okay. Well, it's nice to meet you, Torres. And once again, I must apologize. Apologize? Once again? For what? Oh, Lots of things. Rick quickly grabs a pen that he notices on the side and goes right for Torres's eye. Torres was managed to get onto the ground, and he's like, shit. He jumps right over the desk. Jameson gets on and says, freeze. I don't know what you are or what you're doing. I don't know who you are, I should say. Never mind. We're going to say, I don't know who you are or what you're doing, but this is a police station, and you tried assaulting an officer. You're right, I did. I tried assaulting that officer, but let me bring something up to you, okay? What if I told you, sir, that everything you know is a freaking lie? And I mean everything. What are you talking about? Well, what if I told you that vampires really do exist, and now that now that you know of their existence, I must kill you. And that this is it for you. Right here. There's nothing else. He says, you better come with us. And Jameson pulls out some handcuffs, and he's like, okay, well, this is just not going to work for me whatsoever. Jameson opens fires and squeezes off a few shots, but unfortunately Rick was able to dodge them very quickly, moving with precise precision and fast speed that the human senses could not have picked up. They didn't manage to see where he went. As his footsteps were extremely quiet. Nothing in the room was moved. Jameson and Torres sat there, shocked. The captain came out and said, what's going on? We're under attack, sir. Yeah, he said vampires exist, that Officer Pierce was correct. What? Yeah, and I don't think he's going to let any of us live. Well, where is he? I don't know. He moved. It was like a blur. Crazy. Little did they know, before Rick came in, he did manage to sabotage, or attempt to sabotage, the generator. And possibly the power box. Yeah, definitely gonna do that one. But there was nothing on that, so he managed to just come in and give this a try. Rick is just sitting underneath one of the desks going, this is just not my night. Not my night at all. He begins to ever so slightly attempt to move quietly without being noticed. But little did he know, he accidentally moved a chair a little too far, and the cops began looking at him, and he's like, okay, oh boy, this is just not going to end well for me, is it? No, it's not. You're coming in for questioning. Yeah, I don't freaking think so. As Taurus tries to go and subdue him, he goes and tries to attempt to kill Torres. Torres manages to get Rick onto the ground, onto the desk, and he's like, I got him. We just got to cuff him." Rick tries his damnedest to break free of this grapple hold he's got, but Rick just isn't like the strongest of all vampires. However, what they didn't notice is that there was a box cutter on the desk. And he grabs it, opens it, and cuts right into the throat of Taurus. Taurus begins bleeding from the throat as he's trying to hold in all the blood and is passing out into shock. They begin looking at him. It's like, I really hate it when I have to improvise. Now, you guys can either do one or two things. You can just freaking die and let me just take care of you, or we can make this as ugly as possible, and I will make sure you die very painful and slow deaths. Which is it going to be? Both the officers begin to open fire on him immediately. They each manage to get a bullet right into Rick. Rick is like, damn, okay, that hurt. As he actually begins taking bullet wounds right to his arms. Alright. He takes the box cutter and he takes the box cutter, opens it up, and he makes a run for it. Right, and attempts to tackle Officer Jameson. Good point. And he manages to once again slice up Jameson and hit him right in the jugular as he squeezes off one shot into his stomach. The captain looks horrified. He's like, I told you guys should have just listened to me. But no, nobody wants to do that, do they? Nobody wants to do that. It's like, look, okay, you killed two of my officers. Yeah? With a box cutter. Okay, I don't like to do that. No, I need to feed. And he leaps right, once again does a leaping action right at the captain. But the captain manages to fire off another round. And just as he does it, the captain's head explodes. Rick falls to the ground. clinging on to whatever immortal life he could. But he's not down quite yet. He looks up and he sees the captain's head exploded all over the place. He looks and sees a female dressed in leather pants, a cheetah jacket. "Jenna," said Rick. "What brings you to my neck of the woods?" She's like, "Well, I heard you were just having a rough night." Yeah, kind of. Kind of a rough night. I'm gonna need some help here, and he falls to the ground. Jenna walks over to him and she begins picking him up and says, "Don't worry, I'll take care of everything tonight. Let's get you back to your home." They manage to leave the precinct. Jenna helps him back. Rick is barely hanging on to life. Once he arrives home, he's greeted by one of his people that surrenders herself to him every single night. And he begins to feed and heal. But he needs plenty of rest. Jenna says that she'll take care of everything. And that'll be it. About 24 hours later, he rises from his coffin, and Jenna's waiting for him. "Did you take care of everything?" "Yes. Everything's been taken care of." "I appreciate you. If over the years, anyone knew that I was working with you over the years, that'd probably be the end of my career." Jenna looks at him and says, "Well, you've given me something else in return as well. Passion." Sweet. He stops her and he laughs. He says, "Passion, I'm a thing. But it is great to see you again." She's like, "Let me take care of you." As she removes her jacket, you can see bite marks going down her neck. "I swore to you years ago that I would help you, that you became the sheriff of this domain. It is because of me and the other girl that you have survived this long. Probably I was dumb enough to go into this, but I need to clean it up. We've got the evidence. The evidence is gone. Precinct 13, is there any other officers that knew about it?" They said, "Nope. The officers that were there that night. That's all we know about. They've disappeared, so for all they know, they probably made up some story and ran. The press is going to be all over that. All kinds of false leads and everything. Also, false notes in their handwritings." "Thank you, Jenna. You've been a true familiar. However, our job is not done yet. There's still the Nosferatu that is hunting. You don't think he acted alone?" "No. I think there was only one that night, but I think he came from somewhere. So we will be scouring the sewers, but we're not doing it alone. There is one other person that knows about this, and we need to bring him in. And his name is Mr. James Pierce." "But I thought he was locked up in an insane asylum. Because no one believed his story." "Or that's the problem. They do believe his story, but they think it's so unreal until they get evidence. With the evidence gone, he'll be in there forever. But no one to believe him, and the Camarilla secret is there. However, there is still the potential possibility that there is a group." "What makes you think that there is a group, sir? With all due respect." With all due respect, we know about the Nosferatu. Some of them are sewer rats. And there was no car. No car in evidence. He didn't come from anywhere. So, did he walk? Did he run? Did he use any... How powerful was he to be overcome by a human? I think there's more of them, and I think they're close by that may be causing us some trouble. So, we're going to have to eliminate him. But, Jenna, it won't be you and me. It's going to be me and Mr. Pierce. You need to be protected. I taught you the ways of how to cover your tracks and anything to help me out. So, I want you to stay safe. If I'm going to seek any help, I'm going to seek help of my peers and Mr. Pierce as well. I'll need one more day of rest and feeding. I should be back on my feet. The scene turns black. As Rick begins planning for the next phase of protecting his domain. He must do his job and make sure that there is no Nosferatu splinter group in his territory. That ends our story for tonight. I hope everyone who has come in has enjoyed everything. Rick has actually almost been picked off this round, but there's more to Rick than meets the eye. After all, he is a high-end official, and he has people working with him. He's not alone. And now, let's see what happens next time as he seeks the help of Mr. Pierce. James Pierce, the human that eliminated a vampire. Well, that is all for tonight, folks. You guys have a great and wonderful evening. I hope you enjoyed the story, and I hope to tell you more as we are approaching All Hallows Eve. And there will be more coming on this channel, so stay tuned.